As the Detroit Pistons are right in the middle of a rebuilding process, the 2023 NBA draft is very important to them. And in this draft, I believe they were blessed with the 5th and the 25th overall pick. And we all know that those two picks should have been higher, or the 5th pick should have been higher, should have been at least top 3. Especially as I watched the NBA draft, it was all starting to make a lot of sense to me. Victor Wembanyama, huge fan of the Spurs, huge fan of Tony Parker, who is also from France. They showing pictures of him next to Tony Parker with a Tony Parker uniform on, but everyone is trying to tell me it's just a coincidence that the San Antonio Spurs, after drafting David Robinson at number 1, Tim Duncan at number 1, having 20 years of going to the playoffs, winning 5 championships. They telling me that it's just a coincidence and it's just sheer luck that the Spurs, after 1 year of real tanking, that they get the number 1 overall pick, and now they have a guy that they are calling the craziest prospect of all time. But that's all luck and just a coincidence. But nonetheless, we're over that, and I'm grateful for what we got at the 5th pick, because I actually love our selection. And before I get into who the Detroit Pistons selected in this NBA draft, I want to talk about what I feel like the Detroit Pistons needed to look for going into the draft. Now, with our roster, I feel like we have playmakers, and we have guys who can run the offense with Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, so I don't think we needed to go out and look for a playmaker. And we all know the big situation on this team. We have plenty of bigs. We have James Wiseman, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, and Marvin Bagley, and I don't think all 4 of those guys will be a part of the roster going into next season. I prefer us to get rid of James Wiseman, because I feel like we can get the most bang for our buck if we, find a trade for him, because he does have a lot of potential. And the reason I don't want him on the team is because him and Jalen Duren do a lot of the same things, and I don't think they can really play at the same time. So what I'm thinking the Detroit Pistons need, I think they need athleticism. I think they need perimeter defense, like guys that have an identity of playing defense out on the perimeter. I think we have guys that are decent and hard-working defenders, like Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey. I think those guys are going to be giving maximum effort on the defensive side of the ball, but it's not their identity as basketball players. And another thing any team can always need is just three-point shooting. And I believe Troy Weaver, with the 2 guys he went out and selected, he definitely filled some of those needs. And with our 5th overall pick, we went ahead and we drafted Sasser Thompson from the Overteam Elite League. And I actually like this selection by Troy Weaver. And once you get out of the top 3 of the NBA draft, it's kind of hard to predict how things are going to go. And you can look at our situation with the 5th overall pick. There was a bunch of guys that we were talking about getting. A shocker to me is Cam Whitmore. I don't know what happened. I don't know if something happened in his camp, if he was having bad workouts, but he was projected to go. I was reading, and people was worried about him getting selected before he got to Detroit, saying that he might go top 3 or top 4, and then he falls all the way to number 20. And I'm kind of upset that the Houston Rockets, who I think is going to be our rivals, because you guys remember the Jalen Green situation, how he said he would love to come to Detroit as the number 1 overall pick, and then once we selected Cade Cunningham, his feelings about the organization completely changed, which is fine. He should feel that way. And then now we have the Thompson twins, who are going to be playing against each other, and also Cam Whitmore, who got passed up by Detroit and a bunch of teams. So it's going to be interesting watching Houston and the Pistons play against each other in the future. But nonetheless, we can dive into who we selected at the 5th overall pick of Sasser Thompson. And I love this pick for a bunch of reasons. And it's not the perfect pick. Sasser is not the perfect prospect as of right now, but he does have tremendous upside, and I think there's more to like about him than there is to dislike. Number 1, the thing that you have to love about him is just something that you cannot teach. You cannot work for this. It's something that is given to you. His size and athleticism, and I guess you can work for the athleticism to some degree, but I actually think some guys are just given athleticism, because what they be doing, no matter what sport it is, it'd be ridiculous. But Sasser Thompson is 6'7" with the 7-foot wingspan, and he has supreme athleticism, and he brings so much on both sides of the basketball. Now we can talk about his offensive game first, and one thing that jumps out to me when it comes to his offensive game is what he does as a playmaker, and I'm really interested to see how he gels with Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. And something that I think is very important for the Detroit Pistons, and this is going all the way back to Cade Cunningham's rookie season. I think it's important to have other playmakers around him, because Cade Cunningham during his rookie year, he was one of the most double-teamed guys in all of the NBA, and I'm sure it was the same way last season before he got shut down with his injury. And even when Cade was being double teamed all the time, he was still able to put up impressive numbers. In the second half of his rookie season, he put up 25-5 while being one of the most double teamed players in the NBA. So I'm thinking with Sasser Thompson and Jaden Ivey out there, guys who can make plays for themselves and make plays for others, when someone comes to double team Cade, he could drop it off to those guys and they can go out and make a play. And Sasser Thompson is a great playmaker, playing the forward spot in the league that he is in. He put up 5 assists per game, which is very impressive. He knows how to make the right pass. He knows how to make an extra pass. He can pass in transition. He can operate the pick and roll and set guys up. And he's just a great passer. He's a guy that can process the game. And that's the first thing I noticed about him watching his film in the OTE league. Another thing that he excels at offensively is cutting and slashing to the rim. He can put the ball on the floor, get all the way to the rim. Like we talked about, his supreme athleticism allows him to be a supreme finisher around the rim. He can finish with the left, he can finish with the right, he's catching lobs, and he can go up and punch it on just about anyone. And the one thing that he has to work on offensively, and this is just about this is just about almost every wing in the draft. Everyone needs to improve their three-point shooting. And watching Sasser Thompson play, he has great shooting mechanics. I believe in the regular season of the previous season, the OTE league, he only shot 29% from the three-point line. But once the playoffs came around, he raised it to 39%. So hopefully that's a trend that's going to continue to happen, that he continues to get better at his three-point shot. But that's really the big question mark on him, or I should say there's two big question marks on him offensively. Can he improve that three-point shooting and become a consistent three-point shooting in the NBA? And it doesn't have to happen his rookie season, but if he can just steadily improve as his career goes on, he'll be a great basketball player. And then also another question mark that everyone has is the league and the level of competition that he played in coming into the league. But what my eyes tell me, he looks NBA ready, and I think he deserved to be a lottery pick in this year's draft. I done seen some foolish TikToks or tweets saying that him and his brother should not have been lottery picks in this NBA draft, and I thought that was ludicrous. But anyways, that's how I feel about him offensively. And defensively, he also brings a lot of great things to the table. And just how we talked about how the Pistons need guys who it's their identity as being defenders, I feel that way about Sasser Thompson. He's a switchable defender. He's quick on his feet. He has great lateral quickness, so he can switch from one guards, two guards to forwards. He's long and athletic, so he can be a great weak side defender and shot blocker. Another stat that jumped out to me in his OTE league, he averaged 2 steals per game, so he is in the passing lanes and he's picking guys' pockets, and he's just an overall active defender and rebounder. So I'm loving that the Detroit Pistons was able to get this guy, and it's just all about him being able to put it all together, because he has the raw talent, he has the athleticism, he has the size, and he's a willing defender. So I'm very excited to see what he can do with the Detroit Pistons. So we just assessed Sasser Thompson. Now we can move to the 25th overall pick that the Detroit Pistons had in this year's draft. And I believe they worked out a trade with the Boston Celtics to trade out of the second round and get another first round pick. And they decided to go with Marcus Sasser from Houston University. And this is another pick that I love by the Detroit Pistons. Now Marcus Sasser is a two-way 3-and-D player that plays the point guard position. He's 6'2", and he has decent length for his size, and he has a 6'7" wingspan. Offensively, he is a great shooter. He has deep range. He can shoot it off the catch, off the dribble, and on contested catch and shoot threes. During his last college season, he shot 40% on contested catch and shoot threes. Now, that's something that makes me very excited when we have guys like Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, who's going to penetrate and create so much attention, leaving guys wide open. And I'm not saying all three of these guys are going to start together. I believe Sasser, I hope I'm saying his last name correctly, but I'm believing Marcus Sasser that he's going to come off the bench, but you can stagger his minutes and play him alongside Jaden Ivey or Cade Cunningham, preferably alongside Cade Cunningham, because Jaden Ivey is not really a big guard either. Jaden Ivey is like 6'3", 6'4", somewhere in that range. So I love what he can bring in terms of his shooting, whether it's off the catch and off the dribble. And also in college, he was a very solid point guard. He can navigate the offense, run the offense, and he was a low turnover player. During his college tenure, he only averaged 1.4 turnovers per game, 1.4 live ball turnovers per game. So that's pretty impressive. He can set guys up. His shooting ability, like, he's a great shooter, draws so much attention. It leaves bigs wide open, rolling to the rim. So I'm loving what he's going to bring on the offensive side of the ball. Another thing he brings to the table is defense. We talked about how the Pistons, they just need guys who defending is just a part of their identity, and Marcus Sasser, he definitely brings that to the table. He is one of the best point of attack defenders in this year's draft, so he's going to be putting a lot of ball pressure on opposing teams' ball handlers. So I'm really excited with the Detroit Pistons. The two guys that they selected, they both have some promising talent, and they both definitely have upside. Definitely Sasser Thompson. We're talking about a wing player that's 6'7", 7-foot wingspan, who can he can run your offense for you. He can bring the ball up. He can rebound. He can defend. He can finish. He plays hard. Watching him in the draft, him and his brother, they both seem like really good guys. So I'm excited with who the Detroit Pistons went and got with this draft. And now we get to the summer league, and we get to get a glimpse of these guys and see how good they gel together and how good they look. If we play Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren in the summer league, we will have a pretty good summer league team. But nonetheless, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you agree, disagree, if you think we should have went with someone else. Also, let me know what you think about Cam Whitmore falling all the way to pick 20. If you have any insight on that or why that might have happened, I would love to know why. And then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtains.